Okay, so a common question that we get from users is, how do I keep my characters, my multi-state characters, aligned? You'll notice here as I toggle through each of these expressions, the illustrated character remains perfectly aligned with its original pose, with its original state, while the photographic character moves around a little bit. And that's just because of the difference between illustrated characters, which were drawn from scratch, and photographs, which were taken. So we actually have two different orientation or registration points for the characters. So let me show you how that works. So if I select my first character here, this illustrated character, you can see that with the states, as I created each of these, the character really does not move from its original position. However, with the photographic character, she's moving around a lot. So what I would do is I would just add a simple guide and use maybe the normal state as the point of reference, and then just nudge the characters over just to keep them perfectly aligned. So we could choose, well, let's add that guide first. So view, and we'll just add the guide. And let's say we've got a few extra guides here. Let me get rid of a few of these. And I'm going to want to add this first guide here and center it somewhere, right, just in the middle of the character. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. That's probably close enough. And maybe we want to also add and work with a horizontal guide, so we keep maybe the top of the head in the same position. I'll just use this other guide since we already have one there. So that's close enough for a reference. It might just be a little bit off from the shape, but close enough. If you really felt like you wanted to keep that inside the shape, there you go. We could center it that way. So I'll come down here to Edit States, and I'm just going to go through each of these states and use my arrow keys to nudge the character over. Now, this is especially helpful, especially when you have reactionary poses with characters where maybe characters are moving forward or moving backward, and you're trying to really keep that distance between the one or more characters the same. This is something I would always do to ensure that these positions are lined up. Now, this one's really far off, so you'll see that I actually used my cursor to drag her over a little bit, and maybe just move it over one more. I don't know if the character, there we go. And we'll just go through, and after doing this a couple times, for each state, you'll have them perfectly aligned, and then the transitions will seem a little bit more natural between the characters. Now, having said that, there will be times where maybe you want the character to move one way or the other, especially if you're in a side pose with the character. Maybe you want the character maybe being more aggressive and moving forward or toward the other character, or more defensive and moving back or away. But in something like this, where the characters are really just facing the camera, facing the learner, I think it almost makes more sense to have them a little better center aligned. All right, well, that's close enough here. I'm going to click Done, Editing States, and then if we preview this, we'll see how it looks. So there's our normal state, and now we're moving, and it just feels a little bit more natural. Of course, you're going to want to toggle through all the states to make sure that the spacing remains realistic between the characters, but in this case, I think we have something a little better. Okay, well, that's how easy it is to center align your multi-state photographic characters in Storyline 360.